Welcome to Getting and Setting Parameters through the Revit API. To start, we begin with getting our document, which we've already covered, and selecting a reference and getting the element. The next part is already a method that I've found online, and it's available through the buildingcoder.com. And he has the ability to get a parameter and bring it back as a string. The one great thing about methods is if you find something that is useful, you can put it into what's called a method and reuse it over and over again in your code without rewriting it. So the great part about this is we can put together our get the or select an element in our project, and we just copy and paste it here, and now we can refer back to it. I always like to put this little, some way of distinguishing um, the difference between each one of the methods that I have. That way I can tell that they're their own little object, and I can call them whenever I want. So now we need to actually what I need to do is use my method that I just created and call it so that I can get the element back, which in the public, and then it's what it returns, the name of my my method. So I'm returning the element and I'm just calling it whatever I'd like, and I called it E. And I want to get the parameter from the element, which is now named E. So I look up the parameter, and here you can just type any parameter which you like, which makes it very convenient. And the one thing that, very simple, I just call the command or the comments back. I'll get a using transaction, um, and I will just label it parameters. I will start my transaction, and I'll give it just a simple label param. Then I will set a new test comment to my parameter, which I've called the comments box in Revit. So this will, whatever I select in the Revit project, will be set to test comment in the comment box. And I'll wrap it around a try and catch in case, for some reason it fails. It won't crash Revit or give somebody a really undesirable thing, comment. The last thing I forgot was the S in comments. Real simple. It's case sensitive. You have to have the exact verbiage. It won't, if it doesn't understand what you're doing, it just won't work. So there's a good example of just double checking your spelling, your words, making sure they match the Revit project. So here we have this wall here, and in the comments, obviously blank. I go to the my test, select my little button, and hit it and let it go, and there you go, test comments. So built-in parameters, these are really wonderful. Revit has a ton of parameters that are accessible. This is what makes the Revit API incredibly powerful, is that you're able to tap into a lot of these parameters that aren't available through the user interface or the UI. The Revit parameters that are used by Revit, that are used in the API, are labeled a little bit confusing, but they're well documented. So if you're trying to figure out, what something is in the API versus what it is in the actual document, you can probably look it up and somebody will tell, or somebody's written about it. So here I'm just going to grab a wall offset, or the base offset out of a wall, and I'll bring this into. So I want to set. So I'll get it and then I will set it. So I'll use a transaction to set it. Anytime you're doing any type of manipulation in Revit, you always have to use a transaction and secure it by using the transaction. So here I'll start my transaction in Revit. I'll just give it a label. And then I always like to do a try block. It's kind of a safety net, just in case your whatever they didn't whatever didn't happen. They either didn't select something or something goes wrong. It just gives you that safety net of not letting Revit crash on you. It kind of just exits out safely. And here Revit always uses feet. So if you type a 5, that's not 5 inches, it's 5 feet. And then I'll commit to it. And the very last thing I want to do is that one method that I grabbed to show the values of any parameter that I want is always, this is a great thing, and the buildingcoder.com has a really wonderful amount of samples that he has, and this is one of them that I really love, is getting a parameter back. So I'll just get the parameter, and I'll display it of what our new value is of the -5 feet. So again, the signing of the add-in doesn't matter. We're the developer. We're just testing it out. So we'll just push through this. So we find a little project that we're always testing in. I always like to have a simple project with some slabs, some walls, and anything just to test things out. So here's our wall again, right? We're -10 feet here for some odd reason, and we just go ahead and select it. Boom! It adjusts itself, tells us that it's -5 feet, and there you go. It's 5 feet below. So thanks again for watching.